any of these to sit through, huh?
He's fine.
Do you like fried chicken? What about donuts? You like donuts?
Yeah.
Donuts are good, huh?
Donuts with banana.
Yeah. Donuts are an example of fried foods, which we got from Africa, which you wouldn't think in the Caribbean that we'd be talking about Africa, but believe it or not, as you can see with this map, there is cultures from all over the world in the Caribbean. You got African culture, and that includes many different parts of Africa. And then you got Europe, and originally the people that settled in the Caribbean came from the Amazon and Colombian Indies and up through the Antilles and into the rest of the Caribbean. So you've got some native South American culture as well, and then a little bit more in the later century, you get some American culture influence in the Caribbean too, especially in Puerto Rico, where they're part of the United States. So you have Spanish culture in there, you have French with your Creole, and then a little bit of Great Britain later on. So originally, do you know who the first European to come to the Caribbean was? What was his name?
I don't know.
Do you know who Christopher Columbus is? You ever heard of him? It might be a little bit too later for you. So the first ones to come to the Caribbean and meet the native people living there were the Spanish. And the Spanish brought their foods with them, like Jesse talked about before. They like to bring their foods with them. And then the French came in, and they were a little more limited in where they went. They went to places like Haiti and Dominican Republic and stuff like that. But later on, they kind of decided that they weren't going to really go different places in the world anymore. So the British kind of came in and took up a little bit more. And they brought their culture with them. So nowadays, you can see stuff like Christmas pudding and stuff like that are very British, but came much later into the culture. So basically what all that means is the Caribbean, much like the United States, is a big cultural fusion of all kinds of different cultures, and it brings a whole lot of different foods to the table. And you can see that in their favorite ingredients, everything from rice and plantains, which are very Western, to beans, tomatoes, and chicken. And then they added goat and a few other items to that too as well, which is surprising. And then they turn that into these delicious dishes over here. Jerk is a spice rub that is very famous in Jamaica. So they like to put that in all kinds of meats and stuff like that. But the one most commonly used is jerk chicken, and it's incredibly good. Callaloo is a African-influenced stew with spinach or okra and a whole bunch of other vegetables in there, and that is incredibly common throughout the Caribbean. And then we got our plantain fried dishes here that they all have different, these are the Puerto Rican names for them, but they all have different names for them, and they love to make stuff with plantains, as we learned the other day. And then Jesse talked a little bit about gumbo, which you see down there at the bottom. Gumbo is a little bit more complicated than just being an African dish. That is the perfect example of like 5 cultures fused into one. There's a little bit of Spanish in there, a little bit of French Creole, and then of course much of the ingredients are African. So gumbo is a real interesting dish and is really the key to all that fusion. But it wasn't just food. Like, do you like playing soccer? You ever played soccer before?
I don't.
Yes, you do.
I don't.
Who do you think invented soccer? If you were to take a guess.
No.
Well, soccer is an incredibly popular sport throughout the world, and it was invented by the British, believe it or not. So the British brought that to South America, the Caribbean, everything like that, and it's incredibly popular. It's probably the only place that's not that popular.
It's Britain.
No, it's pretty popular in Britain. It's the United States. It's about the only place in the world where it's not the most popular sport. But they have other sports too, like cricket and polo, and sports that you wouldn't expect to see over in that area, but they came with the British, and then a lot of their children activity games and stuff, they like that. That's more of a South American influence where they like to slap each other's hands. It's hard to explain. They sit in a circle and they slap each other's hands in the circle, and then and they spell out stop, and then the last one has to hit, and if they miss, it was a real strange that I was reading. But the kids be kids, and they love playing those kind of little sport games.
You like rice, Jesse?
No,
I love rice. Rice is good.
no, I don't.
You eat rice a lot.
No, I don't.
Well, rice isn't just about everything that they eat in the Caribbean. I mean, that is the center. If it's not rice, it's plantains. One of those two. So basically, what that comes down to is when you think Caribbean, you should be thinking about many different cultures fused into one, and that is really what you should learn about the Caribbean.